We're back again. We're back with Asmaa. If you remember the panel 2 sessions away, Asmaa is here again to give us some insightful discussions about now monetizing the data. So it's beyond transactions. After seeing her insights on our panel, I'm eager to learn how she's building scalable data teams and designing data strategies that drive business growth and featuring real-world fintech use case from the heart of Klivvr itself. Please give a round of applause to Asmaa.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Asmaa Magdy, Head of Data at Klivvr. It's truly a pleasure to be speaking today at DSC. So today we're going to talk about data strategy, tactics that work, and how to address strategy and build data products that make real impact on business. So today is not about model answers. Today is not about silver bullets, because there are none. However, I'm going to share with you some of, Today I'm going to share with you some mindset shifts, empowering actions, tactics that work on building data products that add real business value. And finally, I'm going to share a framework which will help you prioritize the use cases which are relevant and most important to your business. So let's start with the first point, which is a mindset shift. Can we just scroll down a bit? Yes, thank you. Okay, so you probably heard the quote. It was a famous one. I've personally heard some of the speakers today saying this, that data is the new oil. But if you think about oil from an economic point of view, oil is really very hard to find. It's expensive to transform and use. Actually, it runs out. So I don't think it looks like data in any way. But if you think about the sun, it's abundant, renewable, but you have to be clever enough to know how to absorb it. So our job as data people is to transform the sunlight into energy that can fuel multiple business engines that drive the value. So how do we prove the value? How do we create data products which create business value? So every business stakeholder have really some objectives they are running to get. So they're either trying to maximize the revenue, optimize cost or effort. They're trying to innovate in product experience or customer experience. They're trying to mitigate risk or avoid compliance issues. So if you work on tying the data product you're working on with the business objective, you keep delivering value repeatedly and early and consistently, so that data is not just a support function. Data is a multiplier. So eventually, the business stakeholders, they will not get enough of your projects. They will keep asking for creating more data projects and data products. But what are the data products? What is a data product? Data product is a consumable, scalable system that is used by many systems or used by customers. And it's powered by data. So you can think of churn prediction. You can think of fraud detection and prevention. You can think of customer segmentation. You can think of prioritization and personalization. So these are just examples of the data products. And when you think about them, you don't think about them as models that lie in the background or just another support function that is run on the side. You need to think about the data products as if you're developing a core feature into your product. So you need to divide each product into features, pipelines, models. You need to align with product and engineering about them. Get the approval for developing such product from stakeholders and management. So in order to do that, you need to create a data strategy, and you need to create success metrics for each product. What does success looks like for each product? So if we're trying to minimize customer churn? What does success look like? How would we know that the product is successful? Who is using our product? What is the adoption rate for this feature? So you need to create strategy about your data products and to wrap around what you will actually do. So let's talk about the use cases and the actual execution. So as I said, some of the examples that can be implemented in fintech. So we have creditworthiness and scoring. You have fraud detection and prevention. You have personalization based on user preferences. You have customer segmentation to enhance customer retention. But what do you actually do? What is your data strategy? So I divided strategy into 3 pillars. We have the people pillar, the product pillar, and the process pillar. So in the people pillar, as I said earlier, there is no one solution fits all. So you all can work in different organizations of different sizes and different structures. So there's no like one perfect answer for all of us. You get to choose in every aspect, you get to choose what fits with you. So in the people pillar, you have the organization size and structure. What is the size of your organization? Whether it's a startup, a scale-up, an enterprise. In each type or in each size of organization, there is one priority. So if it's a startup, you need to deliver fast. If it's a scale-up, you need to deliver fast, but with some governance. If it's an enterprise, the process controls everything. And in parallel, the team positioning also is another choice you need to make. So do you make the data team centralized team? You all work in one unit, you all work in a data function, which probably reports to the tech, or you have different data people joining different departments. Every setup has its pros and its cons, and you need to realize the pros and work around the cons, okay? So if it's a startup, I will start with a centralized team, and then as we scale, we get to the matrix model, where you have like the horizontal team, which works on reusable components and standard platforms, and you have the vertical team, which works on specific business units and objectives. The third part of the people pillar is the hiring strategy. Who will you hire? How would you evaluate your hiring? How would you structure the team internally? What are the roles needed? How are you going to onboard your team? How are you going to share the experience and share the knowledge? These are things you need to think about while wrapping your strategy around the execution. Then moving on to the product side and the process side. You need to think about how you would divide and deliver your product. So what features are you developing? How is it going to be shipped into production? What about the scalability and the security concerns? Are the output of the data product aligning with the company OKRs or not? What are the metrics for success? How do you know that it's successful? Actually, I'm also listing here the kind of use cases that would drive business value. As I said earlier, the fraud, the revenue uplifting, optimizing process, optimizing cost, and being compliant, having self-service BI. All of these are just few examples which we consider as data product. But the differentiator is you make sure that this product is shipped in a correct manner. You think about it in a product way. So you divide it right. You align with engineering and product teams. You understand the value that it's going to deliver. You make the right metrics in order to ship it to production. You rely on reusable components to optimize your effort, and you welcome change, because starting off the first iteration, you're gonna get comments, you're gonna measure adoption rate, you're gonna have issues, and you need to work on them. So you need to set up the process in order to make sure that momentum is built up. Okay, so finally, there's an exercise to prioritize our use cases. So if we have like 10 use cases to work on, we have fraud, we have churn, we have segmentation, we have personalization, we have different choices. How do you choose the ones that are really important? Okay, So there's an approach I have learned before in a course called AI for Business Leaders. It's called stack and rack. What it does is you start by scoring every use case. You give it a certain score, and I will tell you how in a minute. And then you start ranking these use cases based on scores, and you start filtering out the ones with low scores. So typically what you want to do is you pick up the use cases in the top right quadrant based on feasibility and based on business impact. So the one on the top right corner are the ones with highest feasibility and highest business impact. So in order to just go through this exercise, let's imagine a story. We are a payment company who are charging customers for streaming services, maybe like Shahid or Watch It or Netflix. So these kind of companies have millions of subscribers. So based on the subscription schedule, we need to charge them frequently. Sometimes the charging attempts are successful, other times it's not. Based on the user have credit or not, have money in their mobile wallet or bank account or so. And if we keep charging the user and it's unsuccessful charging, the user is then unsubscribed from the service. He loses access to this service. Okay, so based on this payment behavior, we do have the payment history. And what we would like to do is we can segment the customer base based on their payment behavior. We can use the same payment behavior to predict profit for this streaming service. We can use the same data set as well in order to predict churn. And also we can do some optimizations in the charging schedule. For example, we can predict the best hour per customer to charge him so that the probability is very high that the charging attempt will be successful. So we have different use cases, and we're trying to pick one of them that is best or has the highest feasibility and highest impact. So what we want to do is do some filtration. But before filtration, we need to just create a storyboard for each use case. What does the present look like? What is the data that we currently have? How is this data used? What is the result of using this data in the current time? And versus the future. If we implement this analytics model or machine learning model, what will the future be like? What data would we have? What model will be running, and the transformation about the data, what will take place? What is the resolution and result based on this implementation? Okay? So after we just lay out the present versus the future, we start also listing the references that we read about, the other success stories, maybe from other companies, the risks and concerns that we see in implementing such a model. And the most important thing, why is ML or AI is even relevant to this use case? Is there a simpler approach to gain the same result or not? After we do that, we start scoring each use case based on the 4 V's of the data. So for each use case, we can rank the volume, variety, velocity, veracity, and give each factor a certain score. And the use cases who are doing well in the 4 V's probably are high in feasibility. And the business impact you can detect from the value thing. So what we will end up with is that we give a score based on the volume. The volume is how much data do we have. The variety is how representative of the different cases you have in the data set. The velocity is how often does your data get updated. The veracity is about the accuracy of the data, and the value is the collective output of this. So if we're trying to predict, for example, maybe we do have like mobile payments, so we're charging the customer on the mobile credit. So if we want to know if this is a prepaid or postpaid line, if we're trying to classify this line to be prepaid or postpaid, but we don't know for sure, we don't have any ground truth whether this line is prepaid or postpaid, can we do the classification right? No, it's not the right approach, because we cannot know what the ground truth is. It's only guessing. Okay? So after we do the scoring, Actually, there's one step ahead. After we do the scoring, we find out that 3 of the 5 use cases are on the top right corner. So we filter out some of the cases which are on the other quadrants, and we stay with these 3 and move to the next step. And on the next step, we need to draw a high-level architecture of the solution. We need to do like a very simple sketch. It might be even drawn on a paper. This is just to find the structure and make sense of what you're actually going to do. So I've just listed very few examples like a tool set or a toolkit of models that you could be using in any use case. So you need to pick this up and start sketching a high-level architecture. It will give you like some sense of what data sources you will be consuming, what kind of transformation you will be doing with the data set in this specific product, and what is the output and how it will be consumed later on by a user or by other system. So we now have 3 use cases. How do we use or choose which one of them will be used? So here in this example, we have 2 different models. We have a regressor and we have business rules. So we do a second filtration, and it's built around another layer of scoring. So for each model, for each analytics model, you need to be asking some questions about the data and how accurate your model can be developed. And based on this score, you do another filtration in order to calculate the final score. And then the cases with the high score is your first priority. So you can make sense out of the order of execution you're gonna give to your team. Also, we have like some additional exercises you can add to the scoring framework about the risks and concerns. So for each concern, you need to write down or score how you're gonna address this concern or mitigate this risk. You need to go to your stakeholders. Sorry. You need to go to your stakeholders to validate your assumptions and make sure you have iterative feedback on every release so that you can develop and fix the right problem. So to sum up, actually in Fintech, the winners are the one who will make sure that a data product actually add business value and keeps evolving to add more business value. So it's business value on repeat. So what you want to do is turn your data into products, make the product embedded in every decision at the very core of your platform, and just keep repeating this process in different use cases. Thank you so much for listening. I've really enjoyed this talk. I hope you enjoyed it as I did. So if you have any question or you have anything you'd like to raise, I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. No? You're good? Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
يعني تقل بالوقت
عادة
الجاب ما بين البزنس والداتا او اللي يبدا يبقى داتا تيم يجمع البزنس ستيك هولدرز اكتر من الفاليو
عادة الجاب بتبقى موجودة لأنه business stakeholders just don't realize the potential of the future having the data products. So you need to prove it to them. How you need to create a POC just to show the difference and show it in numbers and start delivering iteratively so that they realize the value like in very few weeks. So once they start realizing the value, they will keep asking for more. So you build it iteratively.
Any more questions?
Thank you
so much, Asmaa.
Thank you so much
for this and for today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.